Here are the top stories for today, March 4, 2020. President Duterte brushes off concerns by the United States on the supposed extrajudicial killings associated with the war on drugs. Malacanang assures the House Speakership issue would not adversely affect President Duterte's legislative agenda. The President finalizes a list of immigration officials that may be fired over the pastillas bribery racket. And the Finance Department assures that the government is finding ways to help sectors affected by the COVID-19 scare. Good day, I'm William Theo. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. President Duterte on Tuesday brushed aside the concern of the United States on the supposed extrajudicial killings associated with his administration's intensified crackdown on illegal drugs. The passage of U.S. Senate's resolution condemning Duterte's drug war is one of the reasons that forced Duterte to terminate VFA. U.S. Senators in January approved Senate Resolution 142, which calls on U.S. President Donald Trump to block all U.S.-based transactions in property and interests of members of the security forces and officials of the government of the Philippines responsible for extrajudicial killings. Duterte defended his fight against illegal drugs, noting that he merely wants to protect his fellow Filipinos.
No, I don't think about extrajudicial killing. Walang pakialam dyan. You can bring all the charges you want, but I will stick to my guns. I will kill anybody that will tend to destroy my country.
Malacanang on Tuesday maintained that the fate of the scrapped visiting forces agreement lies in the hands of the Supreme Court. Senate on Monday's moved to adopt a resolution seeking SC's clarification on whether the Senate's concurrence is needed before Duterte can terminate VFA. Senate Resolution 337, sponsored by Senate President Vicente Soto III, was adopted Monday by 12 senators. Only 7 senators abstained. The resolution simply seeks to find out if the power to ratify carries with it the power to concur in abrogation. Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo said the SC has the final say on President Rodrigo Duterte's recent decision to abrogate VFA and will let the Supreme Court decide on the said issue. Panelo earlier guaranteed that the palace would heed the SC in case the High Court rules that the termination of VFA needs prior consent from the Senate. Following reports that some $370 million in dirty money were sneaked into the country, the Armed Forces of the Philippines says it will verify the alleged involvement of erring military, police, and airport officers. AFP spokesperson Marine Brigadier General Edgar Alerevalo said reports reached their office that some members of the military are into the dirty money scheme, but they do not have the information yet if there are indeed AFP personnel assigned at the airport. Arevalo said it is too early for them to comment on the issue, pending their own verification or investigation on the matter. The Bureau of Customs earlier said the money was brought in the country between December 17, 2019 and January this year by a Chinese group. Amid the supposed brewing coup plot against House Speaker Alan Peter Cayetano and the removal of Davao City Representative Isidro Ungab as House Appropriations Committee chairperson, Malacanang on Tuesday expressed optimism that these issues would not have an adverse impact on President Duterte's legislative agenda. In an interview earlier today, Gov't Representative Elpidio Barzaga claimed Cayetano lost his trust and confidence in Ungab following reports that congressmen are restive over a budget department's circular that classifies funds for lawmakers' projects for later release and subject to certain conditions. The latest shake-up at the House leadership came amid talks of a possible move to oust Cayetano as House top leader. Cayetano has accused Marinduque Representative Lord Alan Velasco of being behind the attempt to unseat him as House Speaker. Velasco has denied the allegation. Despite this, Panelo believed that there is no tiff among House lawmakers and the issues would not affect the strong ties among congressmen who are allies of the president. Government efforts to empower women are cited as people around the world celebrate Women's History Month. And former security guard who hostage employees at a mall in Green Hills is now facing charges. More on this from Janice Scott.
The former security guard in a hostage-taking at a mall in Green Hills is now facing frustrated murder charges and illegal possession of firearms. The suspect, identified as Alchi Paray, complained about the management's poor treatment of him and his fellow security guards, which prompted him to plan the hostage-taking. Paray was allowed to talk to the media without handcuffs to air his grievances for almost 20 minutes. He tested negative for illegal drugs. In other news, various efforts initiated by President Duterte's administration for women empowerment in the Philippines are lauded in the celebration of the International Women's Month. Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo said the Duterte government has pushed for measures not only to promote the welfare of women but also to fill the gaps in upholding gender equality. Meanwhile, the National Science and Technology Fair 2020 is held with strict observance in preventing the spread of the coronavirus disease 2019. DepEd Undersecretary Nepomuceno Malaluan said they decided to push through with this event, giving an extra reminder to all schools to observe proper hand and respiratory hygiene. NSTF 2020 is a 4-day event held at the Novotel Hotel in Cubao, Quezon City. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Janice Cave.
Still to come, the president finalizes the list of immigration officials that may be fired over the Pastillas bribery racket. The Negros Occidental Police is set to open a fitness camp for obese personnel. More on these when the PNA Newsroom continues.
Abaca, the alphabet alliteration. Abaca, accessories for admiration. Bamboo's pumping, barefoot bounding. Kinetic Cali combat, boom boom powing. Digitally documenting, diving in the deep, eating everywhere. Even on the street, galleries, graffiti, and counts for the gram. Hand-weaving heritage with hometown hands. Island fortresses, illuminated lands. Lakeside living with locals and lilies. Mountain rides made with the Ifugao markings. Nocturnal nightlife, neon navigating. Umid and umid, that means keep on smiling. Oratories, officers, old world magic. Bullets and prints from pineapple fabric. Rondalia rhythms, riffing on raps. Sunset street dancing, Sampaguita craft. Tribal tattoos in traditional ways. Ultimate underground untouched caves. Wild, wide, warm, welcomes await for you. And yes, you too. Be part of the tradition, the celebration, and the culture. Be part of the fun.
President Rodrigo Duterte on Tuesday said he is finalizing a list of Bureau of Immigration officials he will dismiss for their alleged involvement in the Pastillas racket at the Ninoy Aquino International Airport. Duterte expressed frustration that some of the officials on his list were his fraternity brothers from the San Beda University-based Lex Talionis Fraternitas. The immigration personnel will be formally charged once results of the investigation show that they committed an unlawful act. Amid controversy hounding the Bureau, Duterte is giving Immigration Commissioner Jaime Morente an opportunity to address the issue. Morente is still subject to the National Bureau of Investigation or NBI's ongoing investigation. Insisting that being involved in corrupt activities is unforgivable, Duterte said he has been sacking officials almost every day. Duterte, meanwhile, called on newly appointed government officials to discharge their duties with efficiency, honesty, and competence. He also urged them to never intervene for their relatives when it comes to government transactions, warning them that he will hold them accountable for it.
The government has lifted the suspension on loan and grant agreements with countries that backed a UN resolution calling for investigation on the Philippines' campaign against illegal drugs. The memorandum, signed by Executive Secretary Salvador Dea on February 27, took effect immediately. 18 countries approved a resolution by the UN Human Rights Council in July 2019 seeking to investigate the Philippines' drug war amid allegations of human rights violations. Malacanang suspended negotiations on loans, aid, and other related agreements as the government protested what it called an affront to the country's sovereignty.
Malacanang on Tuesday welcomed the higher net satisfaction rating earned by the three top government officials, stressing that this was proof that people believe that their performance has improved. The latest social weather station survey showed 56% of Filipinos were satisfied with Vice President Leni Robredo's performance, while 23% were dissatisfied, giving Robredo a plus 36 net satisfaction rating, which is deemed as good. Robredo's plus 36 net satisfaction rating was a 3-point increase from her plus 33 rating in October 2019. As for Senate President Vicente Soto III, 73% of Filipinos were satisfied with his performance, while 10% were dissatisfied, giving him a plus 62 net satisfaction or very good rating. His net satisfaction rating also rose by 1 point from the previously recorded plus 61 in October 2019. Meanwhile, 67% of Filipinos were satisfied with House Speaker Alan Peter Cayetano's performance, while 15% were dissatisfied. His net satisfaction rating rose from plus 49 to plus 53. In our business news, Hyundai Asia Resources, the official distributor of Korean car Hyundai in the Philippines, registered a 27.6% decline in its sales in January this year. Hyundai vehicle sales dropped to 2,045 units in January from 2,825 units in the same month last year. The decline in sales is attributed to the Taal ashfall and COVID-19. It says the ashfall from the eruption of Taal volcano in January caused its dealership and facilities to close their operations in Metro Manila and in Calabarzon area, while COVID-19 that originated in China has delayed the shipments of vehicles because of the extra health precautions in international and local ports. Hyundai is targeting to sell more modern jeepneys as the government pushes for the Public Utility Vehicle Modernization Program. The coronavirus disease 2019 or COVID-19 scare has also taken its toll on Zamboanga City's aquaculture industry. Mayor Maria Isabel Climaco Salazar said Tuesday that local exporters of lobsters, crayfish, and other seafood that have been supplying markets in China have halted shipments due to the spread of COVID-19 in that country. The mayor said that the plague brought by COVID-19 has affected almost all sectors such as airlines, hotels, restaurants, among others. Salazar sees the need to strengthen medical measures in the event the virus reaches this city. She said the Mindanao Central Sanitarium General Hospital was designated as the treatment facility for COVID-19 patients. She called the City Health Office and Department of Health to provide education on health and sanitation, as well as health and hygiene awareness to the public. The local government of Pangasinan receives passing grades for financial housekeeping standards. Meanwhile, policemen in Negros Occidental who need to lose weight are set to undergo a fitness camp. More on this and other news from the provinces from Leigh Cabagani.
The 44 towns, 4 cities, and provincial government of Pangasinan passed the Good Financial Housekeeping Standards for the year 2019. The Department of Interior and Local Government says the GFH standard can be used for attaining loans and as one of the criteria for the Seal of Good Local Governance Awards. Pangasinan and La Union are the 2 provinces in Ilocos region that have 100% passing rate in GFH. Meanwhile, the Negros Occidental Police Provincial Office will organize an in-house fitness camp starting next week for overweight police officers. The plan is to implement a weight loss program for 45 to 60 days for the participants who will be housed at the provincial police headquarters in this city. This is part of the PNP's physical fitness campaign to help their personnel stay healthy and do their jobs well. In other news, the Zamboanga Sea-based Anti-Human Trafficking Task Force has rescued 13 victims and arrested 3 facilitators in separate law enforcement operations in Zamboanga City. 10 of the victims were recruited to work as domestic helpers in Malaysia, Dubai, and Malta and promised good salaries if they will be able to depart through the country's southern back door. The other 3 victims were rescued hours later on the same day at a hotel in Barangay Canilar. 3 alleged facilitators were arrested while facilitating the transfer of the victims from the hotel. The victims were placed under the custody of the Department of Social Welfare and Development. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Laid Kabagan.
Up next, the Finance Department assures that the government is finding ways to help sectors affected by the COVID-19 scare. The Interagency Task Force on Emerging Infectious Diseases announces the partial lifting of the travel ban to South Korea. The PNA Newsroom returns after these reminders.
Going back to even beyond our birth as a nation. And since the fall of a dictatorship in 1986 with the EDSA revolution that I mentioned, that free press has been alive and active. And every administration since then has been subject to all kinds of attacks. This is normal politics. It happens here in Switzerland. The government being criticized for its reactions to NCOV, not taking the right. So this is normal politics, and you should not read more than that into it. Please keep this in context, right? We have an open and free press. We have a government that does not suppress media and is in fact going out of its way to protect media, and that all actions of government are within the bounds of law.
The Philippine government is finding ways to help sectors that will be heavily affected by the coronavirus outbreak in the event that its effect will be widespread. Finance Undersecretary Antoinette Tionco said the department is evaluating which industries will be most affected by the coronavirus disease 2019 or COVID-19. Tionco particularly referred to firms involved in big-ticket infrastructure projects under the Build program, which are importing materials from China. She said government agencies are studying some measures that will help the tourism sector, especially hotels and airlines, which are experiencing the impact of COVID-19. Tionco further said the virus outbreak slowed down the country's importation from China in February. She said the country's inbound shipment from China in terms of volume fell 44%, while overall imports also went down by 22%. Foreign Affairs Secretary Teddy Locsin Jr. on Tuesday recommended the repatriation of Filipino workers reportedly fired in Hong Kong amid the COVID-19 outbreak. In a South China Morning Post report, a Filipino was among the dozens of domestic workers sacked due to COVID-19 fears in the territory. Locsin expressed disappointment over the news, citing the Philippine government's efforts to partially lift the travel ban imposed on Hong Kong and Macau. Meanwhile, the Department of Foreign Affairs confirmed reports that some Filipinos abroad have been subjected to discrimination over the outbreak. DFA Assistant Secretary Eduardo Mena said, although these reprehensible acts have been observed, Mena said the phenomenon among Filipinos is not prevalent. Recently, a man who insisted that he is a Filipino was involved in a scuffle in Italy after being mistaken as Chinese. 7 persons were arrested while almost 300,000 pesos worth of suspected shabu was seized in a series of buy-busts conducted by the Bacolod City Police. On Tuesday, suspects Ariel Tan Julian and Ariel Famador Julian were apprehended at the Hillside subdivision in Barangay Mansilingan. They yielded 1 big and 9 small sachets of the prohibited substance weighing 7 grams valued at 63,000 pesos. On Monday night, Alex Tornilla was caught selling shabu worth 200 pesos in Purok, Kitahanon, Barangay Banago. Tornilla also yielded 3 sachets of the same substance worth 20,000 pesos. An hour earlier, operatives of Police Station 5 arrested Jesse de la Cruz, who sold 200 pesos worth of shabu to a poser buyer at Zone 2 Abada Escay in Barangay Vista Alegre. Also arrested were high-value individual Joey Bitonga and suspect Ricky Solomon. Last Sunday, Michael Mercado was arrested in Purok, Lampirong, Barangay 2 after yielding 10 sachets of the same substance weighing 16 grams valued at 128,000 pesos. The Interagency Task Force on Emerging Infectious Diseases resolved to partially lift the travel restrictions to South Korea amid the spread of COVID-19. Filipinos heading to South Korea except to North Gyeongsang Province, including Daegu City and Cheongdo County, will be allowed to travel provided that they sign a waiver. Health Secretary Francisco Duque III said South Korea has reported a low case of fatality rate of only 0.5%, as well as the successful containment of local transmission to only certain areas. The IATF also agreed to expand travel exemptions, allowing dependents of permanent residents of South Korea, Hong Kong, and Macau to travel to these areas. The task force also approved the plan for the Department of Foreign Affairs to repatriate 148 overseas Filipinos from Macau within the week, and for the Overseas Workers Welfare Administration, or OWA, to repatriate 48 active OWA members. Camiguin is gearing up for the summer as the provincial government promotes the province's natural beauty. Local and foreign tourists are invited to experience its mountain and nature trails that are open all year round. More on this from Rechi Pahulba.
Seeking new ways to offer more recreational activities to local and foreign tourists, the provincial government of Camiguin, through its Provincial Tourism Office, held its second Climb Camiguin February 29 to March 2, featuring the island's diverse flora and fauna through providing special trails going to the peak of Mount Hibok-Hibok. The second Climb Camiguin has about 26 climbers this year coming from the different parts of the country. They trailed the lush of Sitio Itom, Barangay Bailao, Mambahaw, Camiguin.
With your help and your active participation last year, Camiguin has seen increased tourist interest in mountain climbing and also for bird watching.
The 3-hour climb going up the mountain allows climbers to get a glimpse and even feel Mount Hibok-Hibok's lowland forest, mousy areas, and the top view of the island's entirety through the mountain's view decks.
My name is Leah Dublin. I'm 7 years old from Santa Maria. Masaya naman. Mahirap naman. Feel Camiguin, climb Camiguin.
Now conducted whole year-round, local and foreign tourists can enjoy climbing special trails going to Mount Hibok-Hibok's peak for as long as 500 pesos per person, where such includes the environmental permit and the tour guide fee. For the PNA Newsroom, Rechi Pahulba, Philippine Information Agency, Camiguin.
Let's take another look at today's biggest stories. President Duterte brushes off concerns by the United States on the supposed extrajudicial killings associated with the war on drugs. Malacanang assures the House Speakership issue would not adversely affect President Duterte's legislative agenda. The President finalizes a list of immigration officials that may be fired over the Pastillas bribery racket. And the Finance Department assures that the government is finding ways to help sectors affected by the COVID-19 scare. Thank you for watching another episode of the PNA Newsroom. To check out more news content, visit our webpage or head onto the Philippine News Agency's Facebook and Twitter accounts. For more stories about the government and how it serves Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. We are shown on the pages of the PCOO and its attached agencies. Also, watch us on television on PTV4 and IBC 13. And that's your daily dose of the biggest stories that you need to know. From the PNA Newsroom, I am William Theo. Good day.